Hi, Karen.
Hi.
And we just heard you were talking about the bacteria, and your research is about how it can be good for society. Can you explain us?
Yeah. An exciting thing is happening in microbiology right now, which is that we're discovering that most of the microbes that are present on Earth have never really been explored. And so of the ones we do know, there's a lot of them that actually interact with greenhouse gases. They can help our crops become more drought resistant, and they produce really important biotechnology, such as an enzyme that we use to study DNA. And given the fact that we now are understanding that possibly 80% of the microbial cells on Earth are novel genus, like novel genera that we don't know anything about, I think that the discoveries that we'll make are going to be even grander.
What have you discovered so far?
Well, so far we found that some groups that we didn't think were participating in the breakdown of organic matter in deep marine sediments are actually alive and active, and they're putting out enzymes to break down organic matter and contribute to the contribute to the carbon cycle in deep sediments that maybe you wouldn't think would be very active.
And why go to the depths of the sea to find this?
I go to the depths of the sea because not many people do, and I think you find great things where no one else is looking.
And how do you do the research? Do you go yourself?
Yes. Getting to go myself is the point. Yes. So I dive in submarines. And in fact, what I talked about here is some research that actually my colleagues are doing right now in the Sea of Cortez. They're down looking at the seafloor in Guaymas Basin. And the landscape there is magnificent. I mean, if we could all have submarines and go down to 2,000 meters deep into Guaymas Basin, we would see colorful microbial mats, giant tube worms that are as tall as I am, that don't have any stomachs and they don't have mouths. They just use microbes to give them food. It's an incredible landscape.
And how is your research going to benefit humanity?
It's hard to say exactly what's going to come out of such research, but I believe that whenever you look in areas where we haven't looked and we really don't know the answers, you will find something really awesome.
What have you found?
Well, I guess, what have I found? I mean, I said I said that there are deep sea microbes that break down carbon in a way that we haven't found. So one really amazing thing that we've been discovering as a field is that in deep sea sediments, not hydrothermal vents, just normal boring sediments that get buried slowly over thousands of years, we're finding living microbes down that deep. And we look at the total microbial population turnover times of these communities, and it appears that these microbes are living for thousands of years. An individual cell can live for at least thousands of years just by replacing broken parts. It doesn't have to divide. And that's, I think, a very profound difference about how we think about biology and how it interacts with long-scale things like geology. Like a single cell may notice if it's riding on a tectonic plate to go somewhere else.
Wow. And have you been attacked for what you discovered?
Attacked?
Yes, like or contradicted by people.
By scientists?
Yes.
So, I mean, one thing about the age of these microbes is that we have to infer it. So these are estimations, and we can't be sure. So if anybody comes up with an argument that would negate our assumptions, then we immediately say, oh, that's a very good argument, and we reject it. But nobody has come up with that yet.
And now, does that mean that a human being would be someday able to live 1,000 years?
I don't know if the long lifespans of these organisms hold the clues that we could use to make our own lifespans longer, but they could tell us about the general principles of extreme long-term living and maybe give us a little edge. That's possible.